Hello. Oh, I have to let my kitty out. Do you want to go outside, girly? Okay, goodbye. All right. So, what I'm working on, I started working on an abstract and then decided that I was working on an orange painting. So the shapes just started looking like orange fruit, and I decided to go with it and make orange slices. So hopefully you can see what I'm doing here. The paper's kind of warping, so I'm going to have to be like done with this very soon. But I just made like a sort of a round diamond shape, and then I have the orange slice. I'm trying to make the shadows underneath the orange because it kind of gives you the feeling. You know, what's funny is I don't even have a clue what I'm doing. It just started looking like an orange. I don't know how to explain it better than that. So, and because the paper's warping, I'm actually just finishing up this particular. So for my orange slices, I'm just taking this little white bit of paint and then when I get done with that, then I put the shadow underneath it. But I'm using the same brush to make the shadow, so that I don't know if that's working out very well for me. Or maybe this is a grapefruit slice. Who knows, you know, with me. It just started looking like an orange. And when it started looking like an orange, I just went with it. This is the kind of fun thing about abstract, is that you can sometimes create work that happens to be something that leads to an idea later. Later you're like, okay, that's a really good idea. Maybe I'll make a painting of that. I'm not saying that that is going to happen with this painting. This is just a journal where I kind of work on skills. And sometimes in a journal, the actual practice painting becomes somewhat of a nice painting that I frame and put in my gallery. That doesn't happen a lot, but I like to try and remember what it is that I learned from each and every painting experience, because the experience of painting is fleeting. You have this moment where you kind of remember what you did, and then this moment where you can't remember, you know, how you did it. And so if I've had any success I try to journalize that success so that next time when I go to do a certain composition, it makes sense to me to do it a certain way. And this was an abstract, you know, where I was just making shapes, and then suddenly those shapes turned into something. And I don't know how they turned into something, they just did. And I am just playing now with the color, but as I said, my painting is sort of warping, so after it dries, I'll iron it, and it will be the first of paintings in this particular journal. I just bought this journal today. And a lot of times when I play with concepts, I'll intentionally mess my work up because it looks better sometimes just intentionally messed up. I mean, I don't know how to explain it better than that. I mean, it's not like I'm trying to prove anything anyway. I'm just practicing my skills. And I didn't start out trying to make orange slices or anything, but just somehow that's what it turned out to be like. And I don't even really think it looks like that. So I took a palette knife and messed it up, and now I might take a sponge and mess it up more. That looks pretty cool. And my favorite thing to do is to make a print of my work. So let me show you how I make a print. I'll be right back. Prints are really cool. You just get some paper and you put it over the painting like this, and you push. And now you have a print of your work. Why is that cool? I don't know, but it's cool. Trust me. Probably because it looks even more like an orange slice. The print looks even better than the painting. So this has to dry because it's very wet and it's very wet, and it's starting to warp. So anyway, this is my orange slice abstract. Doesn't look like much to me. I have a little bit of extra paint, so maybe I'll make a little, this is where I always go wrong. I might make some shadows in here. I always like to, even if I'm just doing random shapes, I like to shadow my shapes because it kind of shapes the painting a little bit. Kind of gives it a bit of a, I don't know, dimension. I mean, some dimension. Because see, the lighter parts will be coming at you, and the darker parts will be further away from you. So orange slices have these like veins in them, right? I can't remember what an orange slice looks like right now. It always happens when you paint, you suddenly can't remember what things look like. Was an orange yellow on the inside or yellow on the inside? Because what I have here looks more like a grapefruit. Anyway, I guess I'm trying to make an orange slice, but that's not how this painting started. It started differently than that. It started like I was just trying to do an abstract, and then I got carried away. And my abstract became something different. So I don't know how that happened. It just happened. And now I'm just playing. I wonder if my fellow artists feel like they're playing when they paint. Something tells me they probably don't feel that way. I'm thinking once you get more professional, everything becomes very serious. I'm not entirely sure. So when I started this painting, I was just practicing my abstract skills, so I wasn't really thinking about creating anything. And now it's like something happened and I'm creating something. That wasn't really the idea when I started, so I don't know what happened. So if you're an artist out there, tell me if this happens to you sometimes, where you just start to paint something and then you create something that you weren't even expecting to create. Now I'm going to make a print of my work. And that's why I sprayed some water on it. Not only does it take excess paint off my original, but when I make a print, oh, see, I wish I could show you how cool that is. And it just looks super cool. But I bet you can't see it just yet. But when I manipulate it on the computer, trust me, it'll be cool. So that's my first painting of my journal. I'm not impressed with it, I'll tell you that much. I'm rarely impressed with my work. However, impressed or not, I think it's important for me to share my process, because by the time I'm done, it's always so cool, and I don't know how it gets that way. So even if it's just about me watching my little selfie films here, I think it'll help me to understand some of my compositional ways. Now, when I'm done, I pull off the tape carefully so that I don't rip the page. See, I'm kind of ripping there, so we'll let that go for a second. And this paper is very, very wet, so that's probably why I'm ripping. These are meant to be very quick paintings, and if you start to rip, just pull from the other side, and it'll still rip a little bit, maybe. Hopefully, not too much. This is pretty thick paper, so. It's kind of like a certain layer that's coming off right now, which is fine. Ripping my painting is okay. It's very thin there. Alrighty, so what I can do is just kind of fill in where it ripped. And then you have this like perfect little painting for your journal, and you can sign it. Once it's like dry, you can sign it, or you can sign it when it's wet if you like. But it just looks really cool. Or you can bring this work to the outside with some brush strokes if you want to. If you wanted to kind of blend the edges, especially with ripping it, I might want to soften those edges a little bit. Otherwise, I might be tempted to pull this sheet out and not have it in there. So we'll just soften it up. Now the paper's pretty warped at this point in time, but once it dries, I just iron it. And when I iron it, it's all good. And this was my painting. I'll call it Orange Slices. I wonder, when you're painting like this, if one side should be darker than the other side. Maybe one side should have Can't believe I'm still rolling here. Well, I guess I'm learning to paint an orange slice. That was not my intent tonight. So weird when you learn something and it's just not your intent to learn it, but you're learning it because that's what you're supposed to learn. I'm surprised with how much red I'm having to put in to my slice of orange to make it look like an orange. For some reason, I thought, and I thought wrong, I guess, that an orange was more yellow. So let me put more yellow on my plate. Oh my gosh, I can't get any. There we go. It's like I have this really big slice here. And these little slices back here. And this one here, which I don't know. Very interesting. Once I make my print, I really pull off a lot of paint, and I think it looks more like it's supposed to look. I think I'll just let that be. I'm kind of feeling done, like I don't want to apply much more effort to this particular composition. So I'll just let it dry, and the next composition I will share with you again, and we'll do a different abstract work. But anyhow, that's tonight's work. I hope you have a good night.